Hey everybody, welcome to Surface Level, a show that takes a look at society's expectations and rejects the ones we don't see it for, all from the perspective of three black queer best friends. I'm one of your hosts, Damon, and today, Jordan, Tony, and I are discussing our experiences creeping with somebody's son. Have we ever been unfaithful? Can trust be recovered after an act of infidelity? This is Before He Cheats. Before He Cheats. All right. So, I don't know who let me play
we're all
games.
in the hot seat today.
But we're gonna play a little game.
You in a hot seat now.
You in the hot seat now.
Enjoy it.
So so I'm gonna throw out a few scenarios and we're gonna do a little bit of superlatives and say who's the most likely to. All revolving around the idea of infidelity.
Yikes.
So first, most likely to play detective, going through their partnership to see if they are being unfaithful.
Who's answering that first?
To you, since you got so much to say.
Exactly.
Bitch, since you got so much to fucking say. I'm going to say Jordan out of the three of us.
I would say Jordan as
She
well.
going to be pedaling through that phone.
Right. Shuffling through.
I would say myself too.
And you know when you look for stuff, you find it.
When you look for you see
I would,
forest fires.
I would only say myself because I feel like I would investigate the most, but I don't think that I would do that. I think I'm just most likely to do that. I would like to make that.
That was the question.
Oh,
You don't have to clarify. Most likely to.
I need to be clear.
Next. Most likely to
Get it out.
Wait.
most likely to cheat with a partner's friend.
Ooh.
Well, Damon. I mean,
Nah, I get it.
Yeah.
I think that
I mean, what if that's his soulmate?
if it's his
Oh
soulmate,
no! Oh,
I
that's
know
what we're
what-
doing.
Yeah, of
okay.
course.
you know, I
You
love
know.
snatch.
I ain't sleep with
What?
my man's friend, child. Now that's crazy.
Okay.
Now
All
that's,
right,
that's
then.
sick.
Now it's great.
Uh-huh.
Now that's
And
it.
it's ones that talk like that. Then you be finding them.
I would
and
never.
it's giving a soul food moment. I come up the damn stairs and you in the damn
Fuck the family.
the family fucked my man.
all right. Most likely to have a whole second family hidden away somewhere.
Oh my
Ooh.
god,
I would say Tony.
Tony.
a
Tony-
whole second family.
Well, you keep secrets.
you know,
Right.
I'm never keeping secrets.
Not breaking out into song.
Tony don't even sing. That's how you know she lying.
Listen.
Oh, I ain't never. Okay, girl.
If I have a second family, it better be a rich moment.
She got a family down in Venezuela. All right. Most likely to get caught cheating. Girls is giving no one.
Caught? All right, I'm like, girl, you get caught cheating. Girl, why are you down there? I'm gonna say we can be sleuthy, and I can't pinpoint anyone that I would out of the three of us that's most likely to get caught.
A snake in the grass.
Child,
You a snake in the grass.
All they do is lie. All right. So most likely to go full on left eye and burn their cheating man's house down.
Ooh. Damon.
Probably. No.
It's a cross. I almost would say Jordan.
I ain't going
It's always the bitch that want to act so calm.
Right.
And then that's the craziest motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah.
Whose voice is that?
Yours.
Yeah. Maybe it is me. No, it's
Okay.
not.
It's you.
It's you.
All right.
Most likely to take back a cheating partner.
Oh, I've never done it, so
Me.
I would say Damon might be the most
Yeah.
likely to do that. Like,
I'd be forgiving these
that's
hoes.
so silly.
I would definitely say Damon too.
You're a silly hoe.
All right.
stupid
Finally,
hoe.
most likely to get with somebody's son knowing they're in a relationship.
Of all three of us.
Well,
I don't
the church has spoken.
agree with that.
Well, what's your answer?
Jordan.
I would say Jordan.
I like the first answer.
It came to me so quickly.
All right, we're gonna wrap that up, y'all. That's enough of that foolishness.
Wrap it up in a bow, child. Okay, put her away.
All right, so I guess we're gonna. It kind of feels like we're continuing where we were before. So first question, have we ever been unfaithful in past relationships, Tony?
What's it to you?
Tell the girls
Are you asking me that on the podcast? Are you serious?
You were at the
We
plan.
did not discuss this. Wait a minute.
Gotcha,
I didn't
bitch.
sign up for this. No, ma'am. Have I been unfaithful?
Is
Is that the question?
No, she's an actress.
I've been unfaithful, child.
She's
Yeah.
Meryl Streep.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. But I'm not like proud of it.
sound very proud to me.
Yeah, I mean, is that that's a simple yes or no? But like,
It's a
is
yes
there
or
more
no.
that you want to ask me about that? I mean,
we'll come back with a follow up,
okay,
Jordan.
well, moving on.
Yes.
Now that girl's quiet. Now she a little cat and mouse.
Now
over
the girl got a lisp she
there. Now
didn't
she got
have
a
before.
list. She malfunctioning over there.
What's happening?
I'd
Come
say
on.
yes as well.
Oh, so okay.
And
I was
then-
right about that question earlier in the game.
Oh,
All three of
Uh-oh.
us would be most likely to cheat.
no, I don't think that was the question, Shell.
That was his question.
I don't think so either. I think it was a different one.
No, that was a different question.
Well, y'all rewriting history now.
Most likely to.
Come on.
Anyway.
History revisionist.
Well, luckily there'll be a audio digital record of this.
Don't matter.
So we can't rewrite anything.
Moving forward.
Moving forward.
Don't tell me about what has been. Tell me about what's now.
But more specifically, what drove you to that decision? Jordan, let's start with you and your little lisp.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What drove me to be unfaithful? Okay, so starting at a very top level, I think that it was probably I would attribute it to a lack of intimacy and communication. And when I say intimacy, I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about like emotional intimacy, feeling a closeness with a partner. I think that oftentimes in relationships, once you're adjusted in the relationship, it's easy to sort of fall into this pattern, and it's easy for the excitement to sort of dwindle away and for you to become maybe bored sometimes.
I'm bored.
And, I think that in my experience specifically, I think that instead of taking the reality of the relationship and, communicating about it and addressing it and figuring out what the new norms would be and how we would establish new practices to infuse some more excitement, I did what I do a lot of times is hope and pray that they can read my mind and just be like,
That sounds crazy.
I mean, I
She is
think
crazy.
that unspoken expectations are a lot more common than you're leading on, Tony.
Unspoken expectations.
Yeah, like when you
Now she's
expect.
talking in cursive.
Is this cursive?
She's speaking in
It's just
cursive this
giving-
season.
we getting there. Okay, but no, like I do think that like I sometimes you expect someone to just know when to like do a little bit more when you're not happy with something. And I think that instead of me leading that conversation and me being the person that took ownership over the relationship, I sort of just became resentful and I started looking for that attention somewhere else. And, it just so happened that like this guy over here is acting like excited around me and I feel like more attention. I feel more loved. I feel sexier. I feel seen. And
You feeling sexier than you already?
I mean, in the no, but like it's what are you, Birdman? Or I'm a bird basically. So no,
Accurate.
I think that
That's the first time you told the truth this whole episode so far.
no, I think that it really seriously. I think that it was really just attention and seeking someone to give me the attention that I felt like I received at the beginning of the relationship when it was exciting and you had butterflies and everything like that. And I don't think that I was proactive enough in making sure that we were actually doing things to make sure that it came back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what would drive me to cheat would be because I'm bored. I think that there needs to be spice of life. There needs to be all of those things. There needs to be intimacy. Like, I don't know. The name of this episode is called Before He Cheats, and there's that song out there by what's her face? Carrie Underwood. Like, think before he cheats. And when you cheat, you're not thinking. Like, I clearly wasn't thinking, but it's also a touch of temptation. And not to say that any old body can tempt me, because if I'm happily in an entanglement, then there's nothing that can untangle that moment.
All right, Jada.
No. This week I'm bringing myself to the red table. I think that's part of it, is just the temptation that may be out there, but ultimately it's a decision that you make, and you can't blame it on anything. It's like, I don't know. I think the things that Jordan was saying about, lacking intimacy, or just not feeling like, maybe it is a sex thing. Maybe the sex isn't good, or maybe you don't know how to have that conversation. Like, I don't know, bitch, I cheated. What do you want from me? What do you want me to say about it? There's no good excuse, but
no.
There are a lot of drivers, and that's why for my next relationship, maybe I will be open to us both cheating. I don't know.
What?
I'm just saying, like, having an open moment. I might be open to.
See, that's a different statement.
Well, hopefully we'll talk about that.
We'll get there.
Because we'll get there.
We're not there yet. We'll get there.
But we'll get there.
I would say for me, it was a lack of being open and honest about the things that I wanted and the structure of relationship that felt best for me. And I think trying to conform to what someone else wanted was, I don't know, something that was a bit immature. And I would say that also in going through the relationship, there were some things going on behind closed doors that people didn't know about that just made me really unhappy.
Absolutely.
And I think searching for something that makes you feel like you are in control, or you are in control of your self and love and so on, when it's not happening internally, but you're still stuck in something. And it's just not recognizing when it's time to necessarily move on from a situation. So even in those relationships,
no, because I'm just curious. Because now it's like making me think about, like, when you cheated, or if you've cheated, was it an habitual moment, or was it like, I cheated one time? It was like a mistake that happened, didn't do it again.
No, there were different moments. I think part of it was breaking agreements that we had about the type of relationship that we wanted. And then there was parts of it that were tied to other deeper rooted negative things that were going on in our relationship. So like
revenge sex?
I wouldn't even call it that.
Okay.
I think we'll have an episode later in the season that will delve more into the why and some of the things behind it.
Oh, you're such a tease.
She's always tease me like that.
Tease the listeners know a little something.
Tease me like that.
Leave us hanging
on this public platform.
Don't walk me to the ledge and then leave me to hang by myself.
Bye. But speaking about those breaks in trust in relationships, do you think that there are instances when they can be repaired when things like that happen? Tony, maybe let's start with you.
Well, I work at Nickelodeon, and
what the kids got to do with this?
Where are we going with this?
And Dora the Explorer,
it's giving repair man. And I think trust is very fragile. It's one of those things that when you break it, it's hard to look beyond, and that's tough. It really is, and you can. I think depending on how much work you've done on yourself, you could be the person that's like, you know what, we can work through this. Or you can be the person that's like, absolutely not. I can't unsee it. And that to me is the song and dance of this moment of when trust is broken.
The first song and dance of the season.
It's a song and dance. and sometimes the song ain't songing and the dance ain't dancing, but it's a song and dance.
Now she's Dua Lipa.
Now it's Dua Lipa, and I'm levitating. But I really do think that yes, you know, if there is infidelity, you can recover the moment, absolutely, and especially if you have conversations. And once you understand why the trust was broken, if you're willing to do that work, then absolutely. And I think a lot of times that's why the relationships that last 42 years last. Because if you think that someone's been married for umpteen years and ain't never stepped out on their wife or husband, you listen, you a goddamn fool. Because that's happening, but they're working through it. They're doing the work to, you know, push forward. So yeah, it can. I think there's a space for recovery and repair. Man can come in and help you out.
Jordan.
I agree. I think that you can definitely recover from infidelity. I think that what's required before that is a very strong foundation. I think a lot of times, you know, people and couples aren't able to recover after an act of infidelity because there never was this strong sense of communication. And I think that if at the core you have a friendship, a deep and meaningful relationship with someone, you sort of understand what that person is going through. You have compassion for that person. You understand what their struggles are. And to Tony's point, yeah, I think that there needs to be clear communication on the reasons that led to the infidelity. And I think that the person who is, you know, on the receiving end, or I guess the victim, if you will, of this act of infidelity, they need to have some closure from that conversation. They need to feel like they have some resolve. I don't think it's impossible. I just think that it requires a lot. I think a lot of people think that they can recover from it, and they never really did the work to truly talk through it and resolve it. And then it just comes back up randomly as word vomit and arguments years later. So I think to avoid that, a strong foundation of a friendship and very clear and accountable conversations.
Yeah.
Clear and accountable.
Seriously.
Okay. I agree with that. I think that you can, I don't know, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do in a relationship and make it work. Like that's the thing. Like, we often have these like, can you do this? Yes, no. It can't be that way. It's just like, whatever.
Says who?
Whatever two people decide to build on whatever foundation and however they decide to grow it is their business and is the thing that works for them.
Right.
And there's no answer for that for those two people or for anybody else. And yeah, so that's why I do think you can recover the level of trust between the people, depending on the type of work you want to do, depending on the type of relationship you want to have going forward.
Yeah.
Right.
So moving maybe a touch outside of us being the person in the relationship.
Okay.
What are your views on engaging in a sexual act with someone that is in a committed or monogamous relationship?
Ooh, child.
Jordan.
Close your legs to married men.
Okay, well, Tony.
Yeah, you go first.
I was just putting out the statement. I was just saying the foundation. You know, I didn't want to go first. I was like, Jordan, you go first.
I try not to.
Child sheet, there she go.
No, I do believe I do believe that it's bad karma. But weird enough, I've had a couple of moments with people and then found out after the fact that they were in situations.
Okay.
And
then she went back.
No.
It was the thrill of the moment.
No, actually, it made me view them as less attractive after I learned that information. Seriously.
Less attractive, but still fuckable.
Okay, those are two different things.
You see, sometimes you got to read between the lines. You know.
She thought she was going to weasel her way out of that one. No, ma'am. Not here.
Okay.
But
Court
no,
is in
like,
session.
Your
Honor.
Look, I'm always like caught between this, like, I don't want to put that bad karma out there, and I'm not the one in a committed relationship. Like, I'm always sort of like fighting between that. And I mean, love is a losing game, and I lose a lot on that game. So I typically
Hold on now.
I don't always win
Love
that
is
fight.
a losing game. Writing that down.
And she loses a lot.
She loses a lot. Unrequited love. Okay.
She plays the game a lot.
A house is not a home.
So I mean, I try to make a point to not fuck other people's men.
Ooh,
All right,
baby.
But I don't always win.
She tries to make a point.
But when I
She doesn't always win.
She is speaking in cursive.
when I
She's
meditate
speaking in hieroglyphics.
when I meditate on it.
No,
No, it's very meta. It's very meta.
When I meditate on it, I'm just like, you know what? This is not my problem. But I try. I try not to. But it's also not my problem. But I try not to.
Right.
So Tony.
Well,
Yes. She's super spread on you, man.
no. Listen, and listen very closely, because you asked the question like about us and our views on engaging in sexual acts with someone in a committed relationship. Like, what are their fucking views on engaging in an act with me when they in a relationship?
Well, child, they not here.
Well, they are here. Trust me, because
They're listening.
when I was a victim.
Oh, now she's a victim.
I was a victim of having great sex with someone I didn't know was married or getting married or on his way to the altar.
Oh,
And he was meeting someone at the altar.
she ended up at the crab barrel.
And I was like, well, maybe I was his bachelorette. But that didn't have nothing to do with me. I didn't know about it. But after the fact, I gagged. I was like, wait a minute. And I came to you guys like,
That's you there.
I was like,
Drama.
I'm a victim. I didn't know who to report it to. And I also kind of agree with Jordan. Like, yeah, I don't think you should willfully and knowingly, target people who are in relationships. I know people who do that, because when you see someone in a relationship is so quote unquote attractive, and someone who's committed, like there's a fetishization of commitment when someone can do that, and you're like, oh my God, I want that. And it's like there's so many people in this world, but I mean, you have an example or people around you that are doing it successfully, or what seems like it's successful, because a lot of times everything that's glitter is not gold. Let me tell you, and I know from firsthand experience, and so do you guys. That's why we're all single today, because we cheat.
You know what? I think this is the end of the episode.
Right. Thank you. That's all the time we had.
But yeah. Listen, it's a two-way street there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do it intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
But if, like Jordan says, I don't always win.
I don't really be fucking with nobody's man. Which is, I feel like y'all are judging me because of that discussion we had about. Oh, yes, you are, baby. Because of the conversation we had about friends of exes. But for me, it's about agreements that people make. People in relationships make agreements.
So there's a contract?
What? As a French contract.
Is there a contract?
No, but listen to me. What I'm saying is that I think that you make agreements for what is or is not acceptable in your relationship. That can be anything from monogamy to polyamorous love.
Okay.
And I think that for me, I respect those agreements.
Yeah.
And if I know you have some agreement with somebody, like, leave me out of it, because the girls fight, and I don't want to be out here fighting you because your man had tried to run up. That's crazy.
Contracts and fine print.
Yeah, but that's something that I respect, and it's funny because y'all.
So you mean, and like, I just want to make this very plain. When you're talking about agreements, you're like people who decide that there are certain things that are allowed and not allowed, and like. Okay.
Exactly, because there are also so many people who have agreements that expand outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like so for me, it's just about finding the things that I fuck with. It's just like I don't want to do nothing where I gotta. Oh, my man out of town, sneak over. Why? Why? I don't want to.
My man out of town, come through, bitch.
I'm grown. I'm not sneaking nowhere.
It's like, how do you even know? Like, do you have to start asking these people, like, do you have a boyfriend?
Well, I think the question was...
I ain't asking nobody if they got a boyfriend.
I don't ask that.
No, but I think the question was,
or
like,
a husband.
if you knowingly if you know. I think that's the framing of the question. It's just like if somebody lying to you, like that's not on
A
you.
lot of people choose to turn a blind. Was it a blind?
Turn
cheek?
a blind eye.
A blind
Turn a
cheek.
blind cheek. Do
A
you
blind
see out of your
cheek.
cheeks? Or your eyes?
No, it's a blind cheek. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay, let me make this
I'm following.
perfectly clear.
I got it now.
It's a blind cheek.
I got it now.
You got
Oh
it.
my goodness,
Nasty.
y'all are disgusting.
Nasty, you nasty.
So moving on. So I think we've talked a lot about past mistakes we've made or
I
complications
ain't
we've
make no
had.
mistakes.
Ooh. All right now.
You made mistakes.
Now
Who said that? Someone said that in the interview. Ooh,
I don't know.
That is going to bother me.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Ooh.
But I make mistakes. You made mistakes.
We're going to post it in the show notes when I
Oh,
find
we can do
out.
it on sounds, surface level sound off.
Yes.
So what is your approach going forward to intimacy, infidelity, or whatever it may be in new relationships? As we're all single, as you approach finding your new king, child. What's your approach to that, Jordan?
I think that at this stage of my life, I'm a lot more compassionate to people and their wrongdoings, and it may have something to do with the fact that I've been
wrongdoer.
I've been the wrongdoer, so now I have more compassion. But I think that for a long time, I personally strived for perfection, which is impossible, and I placed that same expectation on my relationships, which is also impossible. And I think that at this point, I just try to focus on making sure that there's like a very strong foundation, like I said earlier, because there will be times where, you know, the other person may not be fully like present in the relationship. I think that's natural. I think that happens in every single relationship. And I think that having the patience to sort of work with people, and not just the patience, but also putting forth the effort when the partner is having a weak moment. And, you know, the other person having that same level of effort for you when you're having that weak moment. So I think that, like I said before, like I'll definitely I think there's resolve from, you can come back from infidelity. And I think that, you know, people deal with a lot of shit. And I feel like society places so much emphasis on infidelity when your sexual relationship is just an aspect of your relationship. It seems like everything else is like a go, like being emotionally vacant in the relationship is okay as long as they're not cheating. And I don't necessarily agree with that hierarchy.
That sounds miserable.
Like I just feel like, okay, you had a weak moment. Maybe you had a lapse in judgment, or, you know, I'm like, we're not really trying things out in the bedroom that you want to, and we haven't communicated it. Like, I think there's, I don't know. I just feel like
habitual lapses in judgment is not.
Well, not habitual. You know, I think that obviously use your own judgment if you feel like the same mistakes are happening over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I think that I have more patience with people, and I allow people to sort of make mistakes.
Your
And
grace.
I try to extend a little bit more than in the past, because before I was very strict, but obviously less strict.
Well, I mean, it's not strict.
Hold on now.
Tony, I don't even know I should call on you.
Skip her. Skip. Where's the Uno cards?
Girl. You see
Uno
how they
out.
try to do me, y'all? Now they want me to talk. Like they put me in a corner. They slapping me on the wrist. Like, damn, give a bitch a break.
Girl, answer the question.
Right.
Now they want me to
She
answer
don't
the
even
question.
remember the
Look at
question.
them. Now they want me to talk.
All right. As you move
So-
into new relationships.
Listen, I think what I would love to do as I move into what I found is that being friends with somebody first is paramount. It really, like Jordan was talking about, that foundation. Like, you really can set the stage by the relationship you have with the person before you get into the relationship. And I think that it starts with being friends. That to me is one of the keys to success as it pertains to like moving forward. And along with that, having a level of openness and transparency, and you've got to build trust. Trust is not built overnight. And it's like I said earlier, it's very fragile. So I think that taking the right steps to make sure that you're building, you're bricklaying that house.
You like to lay bricks.
Yeah, we like
She's
to
a
lay
brick
bricks
house.
around. I'm a brick house. I lay bricks. I chop down bricks and trees and all those things. All those things are a
She
part
tears
of me.
the house down.
Very multifaceted.
Clearly.
But I think that it's one brick at a time, right? And at the end of it, hopefully you have a house that looks like Chateau Chiray.
Is that what we're striving for?
Yeah. Have you seen Chateau Chiray? It's beautiful.
I mean, when I went there, all I saw was some sticks.
Well, but then at the end, when she threw that party, it gave like Chateau Chiray is actually the Momont.
I went to Chateau Chiray when I was
Yeah.
in Atlanta.
I remember you posted that photo.
so-
I think it's
Where?
still on my
I'm like,
Instagram. What are you doing in front of Chateau Chiray?
When I went to Atlanta,
was a
it was
walking
like that
tour.
is the only thing I wanted to do was go to Chateau Chiray.
And she
I couldn't see Kenya's house though in the ditch.
You
though.
couldn't see
I
Kenya's
couldn't-
house,
I
could
couldn't
you? And you see what
I could not find
Right.
the house in the ditch.
But the chateau is a monument.
not a landmark of Atlanta.
It's definitely a landmark. But that's what I'm saying is about like building that foundation and establishing that trust and working towards it. And for me, when it comes to going into that next relationship, it's about having conversations. And I think that, and you guys, I feel like will agree with this. Like I am one that is open to like, let's rip that Band-Aid off. Let's talk about this now. Let's get this out the way. Let's not have it sit. Let's not sit on our hands about something that we don't like. Let's just talk about it immediately.
Yeah.
Now, if it's something that you think you can live with, a few months later, and that's not going to be something that bothers you, you pick your fights, you don't talk about it. But if it is going to be something that becomes a problem in your building of that foundation, then you should address it immediately.
Yeah.
Damon.
I think it's just being open about the things that bring you joy specific to that person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you had asked me at certain points in my life, I was just like, okay, well, I saw that monogamy doesn't work and I want to have this open thing and blah, blah, blah. Like I'd be very adamant about like, okay, this is what I want. And I think that as you meet people, maybe that idea changes and just be open to whatever that changes and whatever that joy is for you and that person. And to be very honest about it. It's just like, you satisfy me in this way, but not in that way. Or you satisfy me in all these ways, so maybe I don't need to be as open as I want it to be, and so on. And I think that will all shift depending on the human being and allowing each individual experience with each individual human being to be exactly what it is. Because you think that you know the answer to like, well, I lived this experience, so I want to approach relationships this way. But it's really just about having an openness and an honesty to what your individual experience is with that human.
Right. Agreed. It's giving How Many Ways
Right. And
by Tony Braxton.
how many
Listen
ways?
to that song.
The irony of how many ways. So thinking about open formats, which is something that I think a lot of people lean into when they are trying to find, I guess, the remedy for infidelity. So do we think that open format creates an environment where infidelity doesn't exist? Tony?
On one hand, it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
What?
Hold
Now she's
on
speaking
now.
cursive.
It's six
This
of one
ain't cursive.
and
This
half
something
a
else.
dozen of the other.
So Mima.
It's like
Speaking in Negro spiritual.
it's like if you have if you call it an open format, does that mean that there's no infidelity? Does that mean there aren't things that are like off limits? I don't think so. And it goes back to those contracts you were talking about. The fine print is something that we all must write ourselves and prescribe to, because there are things that absolutely would be grounds for infidelity as it pertains to the individual contract. Like if we have an agreement and we've discussed that this is how we operate, and you go outside of you try to color outside the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna gag you because it's a gag order.
She's gonna snatch your lace front off.
It's a gag order, and you will be served papers, because I think that while we can be young, wild, and free and do our own thing and make our relationship what we want, write our own rules, we have to agree to that moment. And when you step outside of that, that's breaching the contract. That's an act of infidelity. That's an absolute no-no. Now we got to go to what's that court they have
Divorce
on TV?
court.
We got to go to divorce court and like have it have a
You're gonna be
come to
you rolling
Jesus.
Ray.
Ciao. Beyonce calls me all the time. She checks up on me.
She checks up on me, and that's how I feel about that. Like, doesn't give you a license. You don't have the license to have just a complete free for all. It's given like, wait a minute, I had to pull out this contract again and give Cynthia. Like we had this contract that we both said we would do these things, and now you're trying to give the most, actually, because we already have a level of freedom,
Right.
And we already operate as such. And now when you go above and beyond, it's like, damn, well, there is no satisfying you. You are insatiable. So that's where I draw the line.
Not a bad thing. Just need to be discussed ahead of time.
Insatiable is not a bad thing, but there is
There's a limit
now
to your
you
love.
just being nasty.
Who's nasty?
You,
Who's that eating that nasty food?
Damon.
Jordan.
So if you are dealing with me,
For me, myself.
infidelity will always exist. It would never be non-existent. Like you will never
always
be.
cheat?
Wait,
No.
wanna read that.
What I'm saying there will be no arrangement that you can agree to with me where infidelity doesn't exist. Like I'm never agreeing to a free-for-all relationship where there are absolutely no parameters.
I was girl.
Well, I'm
I,
glad
I was thinking. I was like, where infidelity doesn't exist in a way that you're gonna always cheat.
I was just like,
Well, I'm
she's
happy
a
to-
liar
like-
and a
Well, I'm
thief.
happy that y'all had a reaction because I didn't know that it came out that way.
Yeah, child, look like we ain't let that go.
Right,
Think
this-
before you cheat.
Not just nodding your head like, all right, Jordan, you meant to say that. Now I got to come back to sound
We'll
off
be on
surface.
surface level sound off like,
Surface level
I'm
sound
like, I would like
off,
to make an amendment to what I said. I really hope that you guys hear this. But no, like, I think that I will absolutely never agree to be in a free-for-all. I think that I am open to open formats, which is the question, but there will always be rules. And furthermore, my personal aspiration is for monogamy. But to your point, Damon, I do think that it differs from person to person because I personally put a little bit more weight on the emotional connection because I feel like that's a little bit more rare than sexual compatibility. And so if someone I feel like I'm with that I just feel like a very strong bond with, I may be a little bit more open to being flexible with the sexual part. If I feel like that's something I'm not going to be able to come across from like a more emotional, mental space. But it's always going to have rules, like always.
So, and that's a good point that you bring up because I think that sex is a vice, right? And like
It is.
if that happens, and it's something that kind of like you could have a conversation and maybe get through that. But when someone's being, practicing infidelity on an emotional level, that hits different, and it really does because it really shakes you to the core in ways that I think a lot of people can identify with and will agree with.
Yeah.
Because you can go have sex with anyone just it's a feel good moment real quick, but when you are like actually building an emotional connect with
You got your
someone,
secret
A secret
family.
family, right?
Yeah.
and you have
In
it,
Venezuela.
like Wendy Williams got, like he had a whole another family, a baby by somebody else, like that
That would just really tear me apart.
that rocks you. That
But only if I was really invested in that person. If I was already checked out, it's just like, all right, girl, well,
congratulations.
goodbye.
You are the weakest
Thank you for
link.
giving me a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's all about agreements. Like I would
The mommy writing these contracts, baby.
well, no, and it's interesting because like I could have whatever agreement works for us.
Yeah.
I don't have a rule
You
that
are the
like
architect.
that we can't just be like, oh, you do whatever you want, have at it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care as long as that's what we agreed to.
Yeah.
I think that if that's what works for me and whatever that individual human being is, sure.
So you do
Like-
think that you could potentially be in something that's just like a no parameters at all?
Yeah.
Oh.
But there's always parameters.
Not necessarily.
No, necessarily
For you.
There are parameters. It's for me
To
but,
you.
but then the girls look back up and it's given like, why'd y'all break up? Because he did. Well, there were no parameters. There's nothing he could do. There's nothing.
For you. I think if I were in
Right.
a scenario and me
Here
and
she
that
go again.
what?
I think that a no parameter situation, like none, like zero, that is giving free range to do, like that's like asking for divorce court.
Why?
Well,
I don't know. You tell us.
I'm getting ready to say.
You're telling me.
I'm like, I would love an example of how that's worked out for you.
I haven't tried it. But what I'm saying is that I could be open to the opportunity. Like, I don't feel that I need to put, like, a limit on, like, what I would find fine. Like, it's not that deep to me.
So you're walking in from a long day of work.
Set it up, Jordan.
And it's just raining men in your living room.
Mm-hmm.
You just go to the study and just, finish your work for your remote working for the day.
Sure.
And it's just like, girl, you was cutting up today, huh? Look at you, I saw that. I saw that.
You better get it, bitch.
What was the short one's name?
All right. Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, but, like, why not?
I mean,
by 4.
Right.
For you.
Why come?
Why come? Well, apparently your man was coming. He's getting his life.
It's fine. Be happy.
You know what? Because you are down in the gutter. Because if he's doing all that, then I know. Oh, you.
I get in it. I thought I was coming home from work.
No, you came home from work from your living room full of men. Okay, now I get it. Now it's all clear to me.
But no, like, for real, like, it really does go down to the idea that it's about what you and the person decides is fine for you all.
Mm.
And I think that can be a whole scenario of things. And, like, I don't necessarily have a limit to what that can be.
Mm-hmm.
Have I run into the scenario yet where I feel like we're just doing all types of wild shit and no holds barred? Not necessarily. If it came, would I automatically say no to it? No. That's what I'm saying.
So you'll at least try.
Yeah. Why not?
Well, first you don't succeed, try again.
Right.
Okay. Well,
and just with monogamy, like,
I go along with that.
Is that realistic? Like, the thing is, we put so much shame onto the other end of the spectrum of the idea where someone completely rejects the idea of it, but we put so much, like, love and respect on the idea of, like, this is my man and he loved me and I love him and blah 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 fucking blah. And Jordan, since you want to have monogamy so bad, like, do you think that
you want it so fucking bad?
But she cheating with everybody's man.
Prove it, bitch.
First of all,
prove it.
Not everybody, just the ones.
Well,
that
they
lie
be
to
like,
me.
the best way to get over one
Just
man
the
is
ones
to get under another. Jordan uses that while in a relationship. It's like, but you're not over that man yet.
First
well, maybe
of all,
you are.
You will not sully my good name.
Oh, not now.
I'm not
It's
gonna
your good
sully
name.
it.
Meanwhile, the girls, it's just right to
You have
drag
a reputation to maintain in the street.
I'm sorry. I don't even know what the question was anymore.
question
Don't matter.
The question was, is monogamy realistic as a goal? Like, do you believe that?
Yeah. I think that, the brain is a powerful muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that it's discipline. Just like you said, if you go into this agreement, this commitment, and you can decide for yourself if you want to move forward with it. With one end of the spectrum, which is like completely free for all, there's certain things you have to be okay with, like maybe being shocked by a few acts of passion, if you will. Mm-hmm. On the other end of monogamy, there's going to be some things that's going to be trying too, like resisting lust and temptation. But I do think it's realistic, and I think it's a personal preference. Like, what do you want? What do you strive for? What do you think that your personality complements best? What do you think will make you happiest? So, yeah, I don't think that it's unrealistic. I don't think that it should be the gold standard. So I'll say that. I don't think that everyone should aspire to monogamy. But it's a personal thing. And if you do, just be prepared to hold up your end of that commitment, or, be like us and be on the podcast talking about how we failed.
Okay. We don't always win.
I just
It's
think
a
it's
losing
ironic
game.
that a bunch of people that
losing
ain't been
game.
successful with monogamy still talking about how that's still the goal.
Well, there's a lot of things that I failed at that I get up and I try again, and I hope for a stronger
Now she's a Leo.
swing at the bat the next time.
A stronger swing at the bat.
You've been swinging your bat too many places.
Let me type that in my note.
I don't think that just because
next time I'm gonna bring up, was it a strong swing or was it a weak swing? Was it a curveball?
I don't think that just because
home run, baby.
I don't think that just because you're unsuccessful is something that you should completely give up on it. I think that you should extend yourself some grace. If that's something that you want to try again, try it again. Life's about mistakes. You learn from them. You try again, and you do what you want, and you make decisions along the way. And then who knows? Maybe you fail for the third time. You're like, all right, child, I'll give up.
Child, what's that statement? If you do the same thing over and over and you expect a different result,
It's
that's the definition of
insanity.
insanity.
Yeah.
That's how you bitches sound insane.
Yeah.
Oh, we insane, but
Y'all
you got the free for all.
Okay.
Because I'm not sitting here still talking about I'm striving for some and not like.
Listen.
It's ironic. Like Jordan and I used to go to the same therapist, and like one of the things that he and I talked about, and I'm sure he talked to you about it too, was just like monogamy, some new shit. Like we just started looking for all these,
new.
all these, as an idea, human beings.
No,
like,
new as in like, you gotta unpack that now because it's new as in like, as in what? Because monogamy has always been a thing.
No,
oh, you mean
has
like
not.
new, like back in the day, as early in time as like our grandparents,
like
and stuff
tales
like
as
that.
old as time.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. So like human beings are now looking for like my lover, my best friend, the person that I can tell all my secrets to, the person I have the most fun with, the person I want to go dance with. And that was a whole fucking village of people.
That's
before.
multiple people.
And now you're trying to put all that pressure on one person to be all these things for you.
Right.
And then we package it all up as the goal for what people should be.
Not realistic.
And then everybody fails at it and still think this is what they want to do.
Listen, well, I'm gonna do a test and learn.
Child, you've been testing for 10 damn
learn.
years. You were a grown adult.
Because when it comes to like
You have learned.
monogamy, I've learned. Listen, in the name of the great Aretha Franklin, you better think about what you're trying to do to me. Child, what?
I just think like, are you really believe that you're gonna find some person and be like, I never want to look at another.
Oh, bitch!
I
don't mean I don't have eyes.
crazy.
Look, I want to make a point that yes, I don't agree that your partner should fulfill every aspect of your life, but I do think that in terms of monogamy, I think that that's specifically talking about the sexual relationship. I do think that I have made that mistake in the past where I've wanted my partner to fulfill everything, and I do agree that that's a mistake. So I think that. I personally will like the sexual part or aspire for the sexual part to be with me and the partner. But what I want to learn from my past relationships is saying like, you know what, like, maybe you're not the most fun person to
have sex
go.
It's just like you were just saying you wanted the partner to be like the emotional thing. That's the value for you. But you're also saying they have to be the sexual.
But it doesn't have to be everything. I'm not saying that this person has to be the person that I have the most fun dancing with, and this person has to be the person that I have the most fun, watching Beyonce videos with. Like they don't have to check every single box. Yes, I want to make sure that when I'm around them, conversation feels fluid and candid, and I feel like I can let my guard down, and I feel like we can share a laugh. But no, do I think that they need to mirror all the same hobbies as me and enjoy all of life's like pleasures the same exact way? No. I do think that that's why you have your friends, that's why you have your family, that's why you have your colleagues. Like you have different people for different things.
Right.
But I think in terms of like what I strive for is that I really
perfection.
I would like and now we're back at square one. I made no growth.
But like if you found a person and you specifically mentioned the emotional connection, and that's the thing that has a ton of value for you.
Yeah.
Somebody that checked every emotional box for you, but the sex was terrible.
Girl, why are you down there?
What does that do then?
No. It can't be terrible. I mean, we can deal with average,
mediocre
maybe.
sex.
Yeah.
We can't deal with mediocre sex.
I can't. That sounds.
I have worked too hard. we can't deal with it. But I almost what Damon said now to actually like rewind on that, like monogamy is a construct.
Come on now. You better get deep.
Monogamy is a fucking construct.
Y'all made that shit up.
It's real meta now because and I think about like monogamy is a construct meant to hold me back, bitch. I should be able to dip it and do it.
There we go.
And listen, I think that I don't think monogamy is actually realistic. Like when we talk about all the other things, all the other aspects, like, yeah, I kind of err on the side of Jordan where like I'm associating like monogamy meaning like having one sexual partner there's never going to be one person that fulfills all the things. I think that's why you have friendships. That's why you have work. That's why you have all these other things to like make you full.
You know what? I don't know what y'all dropped in this wine.
But when it comes
Maybe coffee mug.
when it comes to
Oh, yes.
being full
I forgot.
on a sexual level, I don't
You like to overflow.
listen. What's in my cup is for me. What flows out of it is for you.
Who's doing the outro? That's it.
So that's
Enough. Enough.
See how they silence me on the podcast? They don't want me to talk.
All right.
I'm just speaking facts.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
I was silenced.
Well, and on
Who
that,
was asking that question?
What?
all right. That's all the time that we have this week. Let us know your questions and comments on our Instagram page at Surface Level Podcast or our official website, surfacelevelpodcast.com. And you can watch our responses in our new video series, Surface Level Sound Off, on Instagram and YouTube. And if you enjoyed this show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And remember, stay curious.